As I said in my digest tonight, the way the mainstream broadcast media have shamelessly linked Boris to that awful anti-authority mob who attacked Keir Starmer, or I would say heckled Keir Starmer, actually is a disgrace. The whole thing has been blown out of proportion deliberately by a media establishment desperate to kick Boris out of number 10. But I also can't get over the rank hypocrisy of it all. Take LBC's James O'Brien, for example, who couldn't wait to spew faux outrage while erroneously blaming Boris on the airwaves this morning.
Is the Prime Minister responsible for the attacks upon Keir Starmer and his colleagues yesterday? And the answer is obviously yes. Our societies, our political frameworks are not structured in a way that can accommodate the men at the very top of the pyramid engaging in the sort of dangerous lies that you would expect from Piers Corbyn or some bloke on Fox News.
Dangerous lies, James O'Brien. This, remember, is the same James O'Brien who was uncritical of the deranged claims of Carl Beach, a convicted liar, fraudster and paedophile who made unfounded allegations against numerous public figures and is currently serving an 18-year prison sentence.
Next to a story that thankfully no longer feels as though this is one of the few areas where it's getting the attention it deserves. And if I feel like that, having discussed it with you and at length over the course of the last 18 months, goodness knows how Mark Watts feels, the editor of Exero News, who at one point seemed to be the only people paddling upstream against the accusations of conspiracy theories and false allegations when investigating child sex abuse at the very highest levels of our society.
So, who's the conspiracy theorist? O'Brien did admit he was duped after Beach was convicted in July 2019, tweeting, "Hate the Carl Beach story. We gave his allegations against dead politicians a lot of coverage on the show, and it turns out he was bull-crapping everyone." But he still gave a hell of a lot of credence to a mad conspiracy theory which destroyed lives. Brendan, we had to point this out because the hypocrisy here is just off the scale, isn't it?
Oh, completely off the scale. I think the real story behind the Starmer-Savile scandal is now actually the hypocrisy of Boris's critics. So as you just said there, someone like James O'Brien did something far worse than Boris did. I mean, Boris made a throwaway comment about Keir Starmer failing to prosecute Jimmy Savile. It's kind of factually incorrect. Keir Starmer does not bear personal responsibility for the failure to prosecute Jimmy Savile, so there is a problem with what Boris said. But James O'Brien, when this Carl Beach guy, this complete fantasist, was spreading lies and libels about former Tory politicians, accusing them of having been part of a VIP paedophile ring, James O'Brien was the person in the media who gave that most coverage and who took it very seriously and who spread those untruths. So was Tom Watson, who at the time was a Labour MP, future deputy leader of the Labour Party. They helped to spread these lies, and there was not the same response. So for someone like James O'Brien to get on his high horse now about Boris just absolutely stinks of hypocrisy.
And where was James O'Brien, Brendan O'Neill, when Ian Duncan Smith was attacked just before the Conservative conference in Manchester, after Angela Rayner had described Tories as scum just a couple of days earlier? I didn't hear any big James O'Brien monologues then, did you?
No, I didn't. And, you know, this is another thing. The heckling of Keir Starmer was not very pleasant, but I do think that the reaction to it has been deranged. I mean, it was not a violent threat. It was not just about the Jimmy Savile thing, although some of those idiots did shout out the words Jimmy Savile. It was more a kind of anti-vax protest that was taking place anyway, and then they kind of crowded around Keir Starmer and started shouting at him. So the idea that these people were whipped up by Boris Johnson and it was a far-right mob that is all the fault of the Prime Minister just does not add up at all. And as you say, there have been other instances of politicians being threatened or screamed at or heckled, which haven't caused the same amount of controversy. And then if you look at someone like David Lammy, he was also caught up in the abuse that was hurled at Keir Starmer. He talks about the need for more civility in politics. This is the same David Lammy who said that some Tory MPs who supported Brexit were worse than the Nazis. Now, that's about the lowest slur you can make of someone. And for someone like that, who has used that kind of language to describe his fellow politicians, to now get on his high horse about what happened at Westminster the other day, again, the hypocrisy is just really crazy at the moment.